Alright, so here are the C.A.R.s, the controlled articular rotations. These are all the level 1 C.A.R.s to take all your joints through the full range of motion. This would be like a morning routine or something you could just do every day. Take about like 15 minutes, because if you don't use them, you lose them. So got to carry your joints.
Alright, so we start with the toes, and you can kind of modify this and make it your own, do it in any order you really want. But basically the first thing you're doing is going to be attempting to lift your big toes without lifting your other toes. So the big toes are lifted, you're just going to lift them by themselves, and you're going to hold that for about 30 seconds maybe. Just really trying to lift them as much as you can. Just focusing on that control. You can put them down, pick them up to really practice your control over them. Then what you're going to do is lift all your toes and spread them. So they're all spread and all off the ground. You're going to make sure you can hold that. And you want to make sure that while you're doing this, you're not rocking your feet back and forth, because that's a cheat. If you're trying to pick your pinky up and you have to rock your foot in, that's cheating. Your ankle's cheating for your toe. Don't do that. Keep your feet flat on the ground. And so we're going to hold them, keep them separated like that. Separate. Now the next thing we're going to do for these is we're going to do piano. So we're going to go pinky down, second toe down, third toe down, fourth toe down, big toe down. Then we're going to do it with the other foot, right? Then we're going to go big toe up, second toe up, third toe up, fourth toe up, and lastly the pinky up. And we're just going to go through that a couple times, do it nice and slow and controlled, focus on each toe, so make sure we're developing those neurological connections so each joint is capable of moving independently so they function properly. If your body is trying to move one toe and all your toes have to move, it's not functioning correctly. So that's how we do that. Alrighty, so next we have our ankle C.A.R.s. So our ankle C.A.R.s are really important, making sure we have full range of motion in our ankle. And it develops those neurological connections controlling our ankle, and it's the basis for being able to do more ankle mobility exercises to strengthen and train your joint in various positions so you're less likely to injure it. So for the ankle C.A.R., what we're going to do is just going to do the right leg. So this arm just goes right behind the leg to hold it, and you can use this other arm to help support. Basically what we're doing is we're just going to take our ankle through a full circle. We're going to go one way, maybe 5-10 times, and then we're going to go back the other way. What we're going to do is we're going to fully flex down, and then when you're doing this, it looks like a circle, but in your head, think of a square. So we'll start all the way down, and I'm going to go to the right. Keeping it all the way down, I'm going to take it all the way to the right. And then keeping it all the way to the right, I'm going to take it all the way up. And then keeping it all the way up, I'm going to go all the way left. And then keeping it all the way left, I'm going to go down. And then keeping it all the way down, I'm going to go right. So that's like how you think of it in your head as a square. But really, it'll be more like a circle. And then when you're done with that, you're going to go back the other way. So you go one way 5-10 times, however many you want to do, and then you go back the other way. Now, the really important thing when you're doing this is the knee is going to want to cheat for the ankle. When you're doing this, you're going to notice that your knee is going to try to rotate like this. You can see my knee is rotating. My ankle's not moving right now, my knee is rotating. You want that knee not to move. The ankle should be the only thing moving. So like when you come up and go across, you don't want to see that. You just want to see like that, just the ankle going, not the whole knee, because that's the knee cheating for the ankle. I don't want that. So those are your ankle C.A.R.s. And the next C.A.R.s we do are the knee C.A.R.s. And for the knee C.A.R.s, the easiest way, or actually the best way I found to do these, is you're going to lie on your back, and you're going to be in this position. Your leg's going to be at 90 degrees, and you're just going to sit back, relax, and what you're going to do
is dorsiflex your ankle, kind of lock it into place. And then what you're going to do is your knee rotates two ways. You know, rotates to the right, rotates to the left. That's my knee rotating, not my ankle. And what you're going to do is, so rotate it all the way to the right, and then holding that rotation as much as possible all the way through. You're going to go all the way down, and this should really be a hard squeeze. Should really take some effort. All the way down, and then we're going to go all the way up, and you'll really feel a stretch when you go up. And now, there's two important things to think about when you're doing this. The first important thing is that as you're going all the way down, all the way up, you want to be making sure that you are rotating that knee constantly as much as possible throughout the whole duration of the exercise. The other important thing is, watch this, when your foot is going up, you do not want the upper portion of the leg to cheat for the knee. So as I'm bringing this foot up, you're going to watch the upper part of my leg stays in place, doesn't move, right? What you don't want to see is this, because that's the hip cheating for the knee. You don't want this. You want this. Full total control of that knee joint. So we do it to the outside, and then after we do the outside, we go outside, down, up, and then inside, down, and up. So you're just going to take our knee. Our knee is going to rotate to the outside. We're going to go down, up. Then our knee is going to rotate to the inside. And we're going to go down, up. And you'll notice with this, you get a lot less internal rotation than you do with external rotation. But it's very important to practice them both. And then, so we do one leg, and then we do the other. You can do them however many times you want. 2, 4, 5, 10 times. Our next C.A.R. is going to be the hip C.A.R.s. And there's actually a lot of different C.A.R.s you can do for the hip. You can look them up on YouTube. But I'll show you two really good ones that I found. So the first is going to be in a position like this, where you're on all fours. Alright? And you're going to keep your back fully arched back. Elbows locked in place. Don't bend your elbows. Keep them locked. And don't twist to the side like this. Stay fully in this position. The only thing that's moving is your hip. You're going to bring your leg up like this. Then you're going to open up as much as possible. And that's about all you're going to get. Then you're going to internally rotate. Now you don't want to dump your lower back when you do this. You just want to internally rotate that hip. Then you're going to bring your leg behind you. Scorpion as high as you can. Bring it under, and then do it in reverse. So we're going to scorpion all the way up. Then we're going to take our leg back out, holding that internal rotation, and then we're going to bring it back in. And I'm pulling it as far forward as I can. You should try to get it close to that elbow. When you're doing this, don't use your spine to cheat for your hip. You're just moving your hip. And so that's the hip C.A.R. So it's up, out, rotate, back, and then reverse. That's the hip C.A.R. And you do it for the other leg. The other hip C.A.R. is this. So to do the other hip C.A.R, you're going to want to find an object to hold on to support yourself. I use this fridge. Basically what we're going to do is a similar thing. This is standing hip C.A.R. So when we're doing this, we're not rotating the spine or anything like that, not rotating our shoulders to cheat for the hip. The hip is the only thing moving. Your hip's not going to be coming all the way out here. You have a lot less hip mobility than you realize because your joints all try to cheat for each other. So find something to stabilize yourself. You're going to bring your knee up as high as you can. High as you can. You're not leaning back, bending the spine, cheat for that hip. You're just bringing that knee up as high as you can. And then we're gonna open up and I stay facing forward. And now that I'm opened up, I'm going to internally rotate. Now that I'm internally rotated, hold and I'm keeping it all the way up, all the way out, and all the way rotated. We gotta bring it back, scorpion, and then bring it up. And so I'll go through that motion 4 or 5 times. Then I'll do it in reverse, the opposite way. So I'll scorpion, bring it out, up, and back down. And that's your standing hip car. Now the next car we're going to do is the spine car. So for the spine car, this is a really important one too, because a lot of people don't stretch their spine. So for the spine car, you're going to be on your knees, and you're going to take your arms, place them like this. What this does is keep your hands on your chest. It's going to help lock your shoulders into place so you're not using them to cheat for your spine. So what we're going to do for the spine car is to start, I'm going to bend my spine forward as much as possible like this, including my neck. So I bend forward as much as possible. And now the important thing when you're doing this is that as I bend forward, my hips aren't moving. If I bend forward and my hips are moving like this, that's not what we want. That's the hips cheat for the spine. Just the spine. And that's about all you're going to get. So to start, bend forward. Then we're going to turn all the way to the right. And it helps here to kind of have a little bit of wider stance actually. So forward, all the way to the right. And notice when I turn all the way to the right, my hips are still facing forward. I'm not rotating my hips. So forward, we're going to turn all the way to the right, and then we're going to lean forward in that direction. Then holding that, I'm going to lean to my right as much as possible, and holding it all the way, rotate to the right. I'm going to come back. Then I'm going to rotate around to the left. Then I'm going to come through. And then back up. And to finish that, you would just do it in reverse. And you can do that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times, however many you want to. And that's your spine car. So the next car is the shoulder blade car. So the shoulder blade car, you can just do this sitting down normally. What you're going to do is you're going to hold your arms out in front of you like this. And the important thing to remember when you're doing these shoulder blade cars, the scapular cars, is that you're not bending your elbow. You're keeping your elbow locked at all times. Because the elbow cheats for the shoulder blade. We don't want it to do that. So for the shoulder car, you're just taking your shoulder blade through a full range of motion. Scapula is going through a full range of motion, and in your mind you're thinking a square. So we'll start with my shoulder blades protracted all the way forward. See that? Shoulder blades are protracted all the way forward. So keeping them all the way forward, I'll start in one direction. So I'll go down, depress, and then keeping them all the way down, all the way depressed, I'm going to retract the shoulder blades. So I go all the way back, and then keeping them fully retracted, I'm going to go all the way up, keeping those elbows straight, not bent, and then keeping them all the way up, I'm going to go all the way forward again, and then back down. And I'll just go through that circle, like 7 or 8 times or so, and then to finish, I do it in reverse. So I'm all the way forward, all the way up, all the way back, all the way down, all the way forward, and it just continues. Now the important thing to remember when you're doing these cars is proper form, and go slow, and make sure you're really focusing on that full range of motion. Putting a lot of effort into that, because when you go fast, you kind of glide over your weak areas, and they don't really get the attention they need. So the next car we're going to do is our shoulder cars. So the shoulder car, we're going to do for the shoulder car is to do both arms at the same time. The reason we do this, when we're doing our shoulder car, we do both arms at the same time, is because if I'm doing one arm, I'm going to try to rotate my spine, because the spine wants to cheat for the shoulder. That's not what we want. So we do both arms at the same time so that the spine can't cheat for either arm. So what we do is We take our arms, fully extended, and we're gonna come all the way up. Now I'm gonna turn my thumbs in. So I'm internally rotating my shoulders, keeping my hands flat, fingers together, internally rotate as much as possible. And then I'm gonna go, keeping them all the way as close together as possible. I'm gonna go all the way back, and I'm keeping them all the way rotated as I'm doing this. As you see, they're constantly a game of motion. And when I'm doing this, I'm not bending forward, trying to get them back there. It's just a shoulder movement, that's it. So keeping them all the way rotated, all the way back, and I'm coming through. Keeping them all the way rotated. And I'm just gonna go through that circle however many times, and then to finish, I'm gonna go back the other way. So, rotate, all the way back, and then really keeping them all the way back as I do this, and all the way rotated. I'm gonna come back up. And then you just go through that the same number of times. And those are your shoulder C.A.R.s. Now, the next C.A.R.s that we're gonna do are the elbow C.A.R.s. So for the elbow C.A.R.s, what you're gonna do is you're gonna hold your arms out like this. So palms flat, and arms gonna be at 90 degrees. So for the elbow C.A.R., there's two ways the elbow rotates. I guess this would be internally, and this would be externally. So your internal, external. So arms at 90 degrees. So we're going to start one way, very similar to the knee C.A.R. I'm going to rotate all the way in, and I'm just going to go all the way down and all the way up. Come back to the middle, switch. So rotate all the way up, all the way down, all the way up. Back in, all the way down, all the way up. And you're going to go slower than this. I'm just doing it fast just to show you how to do it. But the important thing to remember when you're doing this is that throughout the full range of this motion here, you're really rotating as much as possible. So I'm rotating all the way in. As I go down, I am continuously rotating that elbow as much as I can. I'm not rotating the shoulder in here. Not rotating the shoulder, just the elbow. And all the way up. So I'm rotating as much as I can, all the way through. And I'm really pulling my arms in as high as I can get, rotating them, and then back to center. And so those are the elbow C.A.R.s. And then we have our wrist C.A.R.s. So our wrist C.A.R.s, now the elbow tries to cheat for the wrist. So when we're doing our wrist C.A.R.s, we're going to want to make sure that we're not rotating our elbow. So if you look at your veins, you shouldn't see them move either way. Your forearm should stay in the exact same position it is, and your wrist is the only thing that should be moving. Now when we do our wrist C.A.R.s, we're going to have our palms flat, fingers together. We're not curling our fingers or any of that weird wacky stuff. We're just holding our wrist, our fingers straight. And so for the wrist C.A.R.s, we're going to go all the way one direction and all the way the other. So I'll start all the way up. So I'll go in, down, out, up, in, down, out, up. And this is the wrist C.A.R. And this right here is about the speed that you should be doing this. You should be doing all these exercises at like this speed, really nice and slow and controlled, and it should really be taking full effort to do these. And remember, when you're doing these, you want to focus on those four directions, so kind of like a square. And when you finish going one direction, you're going to go back the other way. So that's how you finish. And when you're doing it, so we're all the way up. So keeping it all the way up, we go all the way out. Keeping it all the way out, we go all the way down. Keeping it all the way down, we go all the way in. Keeping it all the way in, we go all the way up. Keeping it all the way up, we go all the way out. So you do it one direction, and then you do it the other. And then we're going to flip our hands over, and we're going to do it this way. And again, remember when you're doing this, you don't want to be rotating your elbows, right? So it's just going to be this motion, and then we're going to go back the other way. But this is about the speed that you should be doing it right here. Really focusing on control, getting that full range of motion, and not rotating my elbow. So I like to keep my elbows pinned to my sides because that kind of helps me keep my arms in place while I do my wrist C.A.R. And then the last C.A.R. we're doing, I should have showed you this one right after the spine C.A.R.
But the last car we're doing is our neck car. So say we just did our spine car. All right, now I can sit all the way down, and I like to grab onto my ankles because it keeps my shoulders down, so I'm not picking up my shoulders trying to cheat for my neck. So I like to just kind of sit on my hands, put my hands on my ankles. Now for the neck car, what we're going to do is we're going to turn our neck all the way forward. And keeping it all the way forward, we're going to look all the way to the right. Rotate all the way to the right. Rotating all the way to the right and holding that rotation throughout this exercise. I'm going to move my head all the way in the direction I'm looking until my chin touches my collarbone pretty much. And then keeping it all the way that direction that I'm looking and keeping it all the way rotated to the right. I'm going to go back and then keeping it all the way rotated and all the way to the back. I'm going to go over to the back middle, and then I'm going to rotate to the other side, all the way left, and all the way back around, and then look down. So that's the neck car, and then just to finish, you go the other way. So to see it again, you're going to rotate the neck, and then keeping it all the way rotated, you're just going to go through that full circle. And then when you get all the way back, you're going to look the other direction. And go all the way through that full circle, keeping it rotated the entire time, then look back down, and then to finish, you go the reverse direction. Rotate. And the reason, like I said, I sit on my hands is because I don't think about trying to cheat with my shoulders when I'm doing this. If your arms are up here when you're doing this neck car, you're gonna want to pick your shoulders up like this to try and kind of get your head there. But we're not doing a shoulder car, we're doing a neck car. So those are all the cars, taking joints to a full range of motion. And there's a lot of like variants you can do, and there's a lot of different kind of cars, different ways that you can kind of target your joints. But those are your basic level 1 cars. It takes all your joints to a full range of motion every day. And you'll notice a big difference with just doing that. So I hope this helps. And I'll see you soon.